My understanding is you were a fireman, you worked for the city, you were the mayor for 8 years. What are some of the most significant contributions that you think happened during your 8 years of being mayor? And probably if we want to talk about the Lerner, let's talk about the Lerner Theater a little bit.
Okay, well, you know, in the campaign year, the Lerner Theater come into my mind often. You know, I had a lot of things to do to win the election, but the Lerner came into it. And I was just wondering what was going to happen as I listened to everything that was going on. You know, people saying it cost more money to tear it down than it did, you know, to remodel it and so forth. So I knew that if I could get it, the Elko name away from it and get it called the Lerner, I'd be ready to go with it. So we did that and had some really fine gentlemen that helped us out on that. And you see what it is today. It's beautiful.
Mayor Moore, the Lerner Theater, such an iconic place, had the name change, and obviously you must have had something to do with calling it the Lerner at that point. But what's it like? You're an Elkhart guy. What's it like to have that fabulous theater here in Elkhart, Indiana?
Well, you know what it's like. I've been called over to the Lerner several times when there were people here, reporters, with cameras and so forth. And when they turned them on and showed the various functions of the Lerner, I tell you, I don't know how I felt. I just felt so great about Elkhart, Indiana, and that Lerner Theater. And some of those guys said, you know, we've been in a lot of these things. I don't think we've seen one that's any more beautiful than what this one was.
But Mayor Moore, how important is it for you, for civic pride, to have so many people step up for that Lerner Theater? Because it took a tremendous amount of private capital to get that going, but how exciting was it for you to have the community come forward and so many great benefactors?
Well, it just meant everything, you know. In order to get it done, that's what you had to have. And we went about getting that money, and a lot of people did contribute to that fund, and you know, we come to about $18 million in that remodeling of that building. So, you know, it just meant so much. But I knew that would happen. I knew Elkhart would do that. That's the type of people that they are. They've been very, very good about that. And all the things that we've done here, we still see things every day that have got private money and public money involved in them. And it just means an awful lot.
Mayor Moore, we were just recently over at the grand opening of the Aquatic Center. How exciting is that for you? You know, obviously that started the talk when you were the mayor. How exciting is it for you to see these things come through and finish up, you know, as you're around here?
Well, it's really big. You know, talked about the Aquatic Center. It's another splash, maybe, but it is really big. I was over there too and got to take a look at it. It's an impressive place, a very impressive place, and one of only 3 aquatic centers in the United States is in that building. So, you know, we're very, very proud of it. Again, you know, the schools submitted some contributions and private citizens submitted some contributions. The city added some along, put it all together, and that's what you come up with, you know. It's going to serve a long, long time.
Mayor Moore, long time active, involved in city government. What are some of the significant things that really stand out to you during your time as mayor that kind of sit back and you make you kind of smile besides the Lerner Theater?
Well, I hope I won't say I won't lose any of them, but the Lerner, we started with the Lerner, there's no doubt about that. And then downtown Elkhart was terribly dark at night. It had a nice lighting system, but all the lights were turned this way or that way, nothing coming down to the ground. So we relit the city at that time, completely relit it, and that was done with money from city funds, as far as that goes. But we did that and brightened it up, and you could just see it. Everything just opened up for us. The other thing was coming downtown was the angled parking. You know, we were parking the other way, and it wasn't working out very well. We gained 5, 6 parking places in every block by going to the angle situation. So we wanted to do that, and we got it done. And all in all, you know, downtown Elkhart just became alive as far as we were concerned.
Mayor Moore, let's talk a little bit about, I'm going to have a clip, obviously I'm going to do an interview with our DCO. Let's talk about, and we won't do it in your clip, but this will be in Art's clip. Mm-hmm. Why don't you talk about the impact of Art DCO, and make sure you say Art DCO or Mr. DCO or Art, you know, the impact that he's had on the city of Elkhart. Well,
Mr. DCO is basically the city of Elkhart. You can look at it that way. He does some tremendous things that he does is contributions, you know, opening this up, opening that up, bringing people here to look at our city. He said, you know, I can go anywhere I want to go, but I love Elkhart. That's Mr. DCO's impression of Elkhart. So it just, he's a real fine guy. You know, a lot of humor, but awfully good humor. And I talked to him just the other day, as a matter of fact. And I think if we didn't have him, I don't know who would take his place.
Mayor Moore, let's talk a little bit about some of the development with the River District that started during your administration, and with the Flattery Collins project. I remember, make sure you got the shovel down there when that broke ground.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about downtown Elkhart, besides just the downtown, but all the new stuff happening in the River District. How exciting is that for you to see downtown housing and things?
Well, we take the River District out where basically it goes, which is out Cassopolis Street a ways. We look out there and we see a lot of new things. All the sidewalks are being built on both sides of Cassopolis Street, and there's some reason for that. And so we think that what we're doing is very important. And then you come back downtown, and you can see what we've done. And I didn't do this, but the large green space behind the performance center there, fantastic, just absolutely fantastic. And we like the River District because it's us, it's our home. I don't care where you live in Elkhart, the River District is our home. So when we lit it up and made the walks better and did all the things that we did, it meant something to us.
Mayor Moore, let's talk about that fantastic train museum. Let's talk a little bit about that and how important that is for Elkhart, and I'll probably maybe use one of your clips in that video, but let's talk a little bit about the train museum.
Well, I think that's our legacy. I think the New York Central Train Museum in Elkhart, Indiana is our legacy. That's where we come from. Years ago, many people came to Elkhart to work on the railroad, and it becomes something really big. And it has up until this time. We have a major railroad area in our city, 37 tracks, I think, that are there for switching and putting trains together. So we're very proud of it. The museum pulls all that together. You can go in there at the museum and see that. So it brings all of that into a sense, something that you can sense and feel. And I'm like you, I think it's fantastic.
With the Lerner Theater in Elkhart, Indiana, how proud are you to drive down the street and see that fabulous Lerner Theater, and try to reference the Lerner Theater sitting in Elkhart, Indiana, your hometown?
Well, I can envision that whole river area, drive down through it, and I come to the Lerner, and it's a whole different feeling. It's just absolutely perfection. We have an organ in there, many years old. Every pedal on it, every chord on it, everything hits every time you hit it right. So we're using it with some silent movies, as a matter of fact, to do those things. But I think unlike any others, there probably are some others, but I think we got one of the finest assemblies, places that we could have. It's just the way it is, and I'm very proud of it.
Mayor Moore, let's talk a little bit about the Jazz Fest. I mean, the Jazz Fest is I think it's an international. People come from all over the world. What's it like? What does the Jazz Fest have in this community? What kind of vibe, if that's a good word, does that bring to this community?
Well, it brings a lot. First of all, you've got the music. And the music is coming from places all over the world, as a matter of fact, and it means an awful lot to me. It means an awful lot to Elkhart as we get the turnout that we do for the Jazz Festival. And I would hate to see anything like that go away. It just needs to be here, be with us, and be called the Elkhart Jazz Festival.
Mayor, as you drive around town, you've driven around town for your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like for you to be a young child here, a kid, and to grow up and see your city just blossom that it has since the recession? Because I know the recession was tough. It was tough on this community, but for you to look back, the policies that you helped put in place, you had President Obama here. What was it like, and how prideful are you as you see the community kind of come together, and how tough it was then?
Well, it was tough. We went to 20.3% unemployment. That meant 1 out of every 5 of us in Elkhart, in the city, that could work, didn't have a job. It was tough. We brought that back giving the RV industry an awful lot of credit. They brought that back in many, many ways. And when it got it back over here, we had about 3%, 3.5%. It may be a little less than that right now, and it may be about all you're going to get. There are hiring signs up all over Elkhart, still looking for people. But it's just something that we will never forget, and we hope that the people of Elkhart will take great promise with it. You know, that they know it was them, all of them together.
Mayor Moore, all through the years I've heard before the RVs there was musical instruments here. Were musical instruments a significant part of the growth of Elkhart along with the railroad, and try to use musical instruments?
They were. There's no doubt about it. If we could go back to that time and see the factories that were operating and the band concerts and the different music things that we were able to see here, it was fantastic. You know, a concert on the river. You know, that happened. They were out in boats and did it and played a concert on the river. So, you know, it's something you can't forget. You don't want to forget it. And it's just really about as nice as it can get when we turn on those horns, we turn on that piano and all those things. Then it's very, very nice.
Mayor Moore, I went out and did a segment on the Elkhart Municipal Band. Really impressed out of McNaughton Park.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
It's been in existence over 70 years, is my understanding. I think Carol's got a friend, and Arv's got a friend that's been in it since the 40s, I guess. We're going to talk to them. But what does the Elkhart Municipal Band mean to this community? Because it's kind of unique that there's not a municipal band in many places.
It certainly is. There's no doubt about it. I think, I've said, actually, that's the best, the greatest municipal band in this country. I really believe that to be true. The conductors are great. The people that play the instruments are just absolutely fantastic. And they do a lot of good things. You know, they have 6 or 8 concerts at outdoors, McNaughton Park, you know, in the summertime. And then the ones that they do at the Lerner Theater as well. And all of those are free to the people of Elkhart. And that is supported by city tax money. Nobody would want it any other way.
Mayor Moore, let's talk a little bit about, as we know, we talked to Cord today. Let's talk about the history of the Black Expo and how that's had an important effect on the city of Elkhart, because quite frankly, we have a racially mixed community here where everybody seems to get along. And how important has Black Expo been to the growth and the significance of Elkhart?
I think it's raised very, very high. You know, if I could put it on a bar, I'd put them right up on top. They've done a lot of good things in this community, and they are continuing to do a lot of good things in this community. Wouldn't want to be without them at all. You know, we've heard some of the words from another person about Black Expo. She's right. She's right on target with it. It is a fine, fine organization.
Let's talk about some of the civic leaders in the community. What's it like for you to have so many people in the community that are civic leaders that step up and do things, and they do it not for recognition, they do it for their pride of Elkhart? What's that mean to you that so many people step up, business leaders that have been here, that may be retired, that have given their time, given their capital to make this such a great city?
Well, you go back to the Lerner, and that's just one of the things that they've done. And there are plaques with names on them, dollars that people have given, you know, because they've given to the Lerner Theater. And something else comes up, and we contribute some more. And something else comes up, and we contribute some more. So it's been that way here as long as I've been here, that's for sure. And we appreciate that so much. And that's why, you know, I have to tell everybody, I didn't do these things, you know. We got a workforce here that does these things. Classic example of doing things and doing things right. And we just got to stay the way we are and make this place, just keep making this thing as great as it is or better.
Mayor Moore, a few last questions. Let's talk about the schools, and let's talk about athletics. Let's talk about how important athletics have been to the community, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, whether it's swimming, a wide variety of things. What do athletics do? We don't really have a major pro team or a minor league team here, but what are high school athletics? What does high school pride and all that mean to you in this community?
Well, one of the things that's going on right now is that we have the aquatic center, and that will be our high school, our single high school that we're going to have. That will be our high school aquatic center as well. And when we get that, then the high schools are going to put together their own. The high school is going to put together its own program and add some athletic programs of their own, things we've never seen here before. Some of those fantastic things on television. Of course, if you were here as long as I've been here, never, ever, ever could I have invented a thought in my mind that soccer would ever become what it is today. And they're playing soccer on every vacant lot in the city of Elkhart. So it's really great. It's been a big help. We've had some pretty good football teams, some pretty good basketball teams as well over time, drawing pretty good crowds. We've had one of the biggest high school gymnasiums in many, many years in the Northside Gym. And we enjoy it. We like to do it. We like to be there. And I'm hoping we'll have that too.
But let's finish up and let's talk a little bit about public safety, how important public safety is to the community, the police department, the fire department. What does a great public safety department mean to you?
Well, it means a lot, because one of the things to tip it off is when you look at those departments that you named, then you can say that half of our money, better than half of our money, in the city taxes, what have you, goes to those departments. It is extremely important, more important today than anything has ever been. You know, we have some problems in every community in the United States, but we work on it, and we work on it pretty hard. So I think, you know, overall, putting it all together, putting the money in the police, the fire department, and all the others that go along with public safety, I think we've done a pretty good job here. And I know that during our 8 years in the government, we did it, and I think it did work pretty well.